Hi Year 4, welcome to our Year 4 Shape Cafe. Today we're going to read you the story of Circumference and the Great Knight of Angleland. So, more than anything, Radius wanted to be a knight. Every day he practiced riding, sword fighting, and archery. His teacher was the brave old Sir Degrees. One day, Radius' parents, Circumference and Lady Diameter, came to watch his lessons. Show us what you have learned, they said. In the riding ring, Radius mounted his horse, and Sir Degrees gave directions. Knightly right angle, trot, shouted Sir Degrees. Radius rode his horse at a trot to the centre of the ring and made an exact right angle turn. It formed a perfect corner. Now, double the right angle to make a straight angle, called out Sir Degrees. Radius rode at full gallop straight across the ring. He came to an abrupt stop right in front of his parents. Wonderful, they exclaimed. You have learned so much. At supper, Sir Degrees said, Radius is the best squire I have ever taught. He is ready to go on a quest. He's not old enough, said Circumference, looking worried. Lady Di smiled. You were the same age, dear, when you went on your first quest. Radius sat up straighter. I am ready, father, he said. Please let me go. Circumference slowly looked at each of them. Finally, he smiled and nodded. Hurrah! Shouted Radius. I will make you proud. But how shall I find someone in need of help? Our neighbour, King Lel, has disappeared, Sir Degrees answered. Many have set out to find him, but none has ever returned. I will search until I succeed, promised Radius. The next morning, Radius made ready to go. Remember your knightly right angle, Radius, counselled Sir Degrees. It will serve you well. Circumference and Lady Di gave Radius an old family heirloom, a medallion in the shape of a perfect circle. What are these numbers around the edge of the medallion? Radius asked. No one knows, Lady Di answered, but it may bring you courage on your journey. Radius bid them farewell and set off. I'm on a quest, he exclaimed gleefully. Radius rode for many days through the countryside. One day he came upon a tiny village where all the cottages had rooftops pointed in steep angles. What a quaint little town, thought Radius. Mother would call it cute. He asked a villager about King Lel. His castle lies beyond the mountains of Obtuse, said the villager, pointing to the east. But take heed, there are tales of strange creatures and dangerous labyrinths. No one travelling there has ever returned. I hope to be the first, said Radius. Farewell and thank you. Up and down through the mountains of Obtuse, Radius rode eastward. Finally, Radius came upon a walled castle, surrounded by a watery moat. He rode cautiously onto the drawbridge. It creaked and groaned with every step. As he neared the middle, the drawbridge began to crumble. Quickly, Radius urged his horse across. Just as they reached the other side, the old drawbridge collapsed into the water with a tremendous splash. That was close, Radius exclaimed. He rode through the high gates of the castle. In the courtyard, Radius saw a parchment hanging on a door. He took the parchment and read the fading writing. Warning, stranger, friend or foe, dangers wait as forth you go. You must make a knightly right, finding next big straight and slight. One wrong turn means loss to all. In a writhing, screaming fall. Find the right to reach the king, or you will feel the dragon's sting. The brothers Zig and Zag. What can this mean? Thought Radius, clutching his medallion for courage. He rode through the doorway into a circular chamber. In the middle of the stone floor, Radius could see a carved circle with a line across its centre. All around him, arches led to different rooms. Which way should I go? He wondered aloud. He read from the parchment. You must make a knightly right. Sir agrees, and I practiced making right angle turns. Just then, something flapped out of the shadows and bumped his arm. Oof! Grunted Radius as his medallion went flying. The medallion rolled away and came to a stop on the carved stone circle. Radius noticed that the number 90 pointed directly toward one of the arches. Starting at 0 on my medallion, if I go to the centre and then to number 90, that forms a right angle. That's the knightly right, he cried. Radius swung himself back on his horse and rode through the arch that was a knightly right, or 90 on the medallion. The way was dark and damp. Around him, unseen things scuttled in the corners. By the light of a flickering candle, Radius read the parchment again. Finding next, big, straight and slight. What is big, he wondered. Could it be something even larger than the knightly right angle? He thought for a moment. The mountains of Obtuse were shaped like big angles, he remembered, as Radius looked around for a way out. Spiderwebs caught in his hair, and tickling legs brushed his face. Ahead, Radius saw several hallways. Each had a circle carved in front of it. If I hold the medallion over a circle, then the number measures the angle to the hallway, he said. The angle of the first hallway measured only 55 on the medallion. As Radius measured the angle of each hallway, he found only one that was bigger than a right angle. One angle measured 120 on the medallion. Radius entered that hallway, but it ended at a curving stairway. Radius dismounted and told his horse to wait. Stairs are no place for you, he said. Stay right here. I'll come back as soon as I can. The stairway down was narrow and steep. I must be under the castle by now, Radius thought. He noticed that the farther down he went, the hotter it was. The stairs came to an end at a fiery pit where huge flames leaped like angry, snapping jaws. Two bridges spanned the inferno. They both started from the same spot, but they crossed the fire pit at different angles. After big, the parchment reads straight. Radius remembered, that's 180 on my medallion. You can't get an angle straighter than that. He took a deep breath and ran across the bridge that went straight over the roaring fire. On the other side, Radius heaved a sigh of relief. He opened a heavy door and entered a dark tunnel. The door clanged shut behind him. Raspy snuffling came from deep in the darkness. 4 glowing eyes appeared and began moving slowly toward him. Clutching his medallion, Radius hurtled down the tunnel. As he passed the eyes, he brushed against scales that felt like cold chainmail. Radius ran blindly on, stumbling as the floor started to slope upward. Behind him, heavy thumps echoed in the darkness. The tunnel ended. Other tunnels shot off at different angles. In front of each was a carved circle, glowing with its own light. The parchment says a slight angle, Radius mumbled, like the rooftops in that cute little village I passed through. A cute little angle is what I need. Something less than 90 on the medallion. The smallest angle measured 40, so he turned there. The thumps grew louder. Something snuffled and sniffed, as if hunting for him. Radius ran through the darkness. Next will be the right to reach the king. Another knightly right of 90. At least the angle will be easy, he gasped. He was wrong. In the dim light, he came across 4 corridors, which all seemed to be right angles. Fingers fumbling, he measured quickly with a medallion 90, 90, 90, and 90 again. Slow down, Radius told himself, and measure once more. He carefully lined up the medallion and read the numbers. The first angle was 93. Too big, he said. The next angle was 85. Too small, he muttered. The third one was 89. Almost right, he said. Then there was a great whooshing sound, and thick smoke filled the tunnel. Radius was caught inside a dark cloud. Coughing and spluttering, he felt his way along the remaining corridor. I hope this is the one, he whispered. Thump, thump, thump. Something was lurching toward him. He stumbled. Suddenly, Radius ran into a wall of stone. He was trapped. The thumping grew louder. Whatever it was big, and it was right behind him. Radius turned around and stood with his back to the wall. His arm bumped into a latch, a handle. He pushed with all his strength, and a door swung open. Brilliant sunshine met his eyes. Welcome, a voice bellowed. Who might you be? Radius squinted into the brightness. I am Radius, son of Circumference and Lady Di of Amata, the squire to Sir Degrees. I am searching for King Lel. It seems you found him, chuckled the king. But how did you do it? Radius bowed. My medallion helped me figure out which path to take. Knowledge gave me the courage to keep going, he explained. But there were frightful things in there. A whimpering came from behind the door. King Lel opened it wider. Radius jumped back. Dragons, he gulped. A pair of them. They are my loyal pets, the Lel dragons, explained the king. He scratched their heads. The poor beast and I were trapped in the maze by my evil cousins Zig and Zag. But we are free now that you have found the way through the labyrinth. Young squire, he continued, anyone brave enough and smart enough to figure out that maze deserves his knighthood. With Radius's medallion, they easily found their way back through the maze. To celebrate King Lel's freedom, invitations were sent to all the neighbouring knights and ladies. Circumference, Lady Di of Amata, and even old Sir Degrees came. Radius and King Lel went up the moat to greet each group of guests. When King Lel whistled and called out, Pair of Lels, the 2 dragons stretched across the moat, side by side. They became a living drawbridge for the guests to cross. Everyone asked Radius how he found his way through the maze. I discovered the secret of the medallion, Radius said. The numbers divide a circle into 360 parts. I can use those parts to measure any angle. I call the parts of a circle degrees in honour of my teacher, Sir Degrees. Radius drew a picture of his medallion and took an arrow from his quiver. Let's say this arrow points to a hallway. The number shows how many degrees there are in the angle. A right angle measures 90 degrees. A straight line measures 180 degrees. I call angles bigger than 90 degrees obtuse, after the mountains of obtuse. Angles smaller than 90 I call acute. They look like the roofs in a small village I travelled through. King Lel told Radius to kneel. For your bravery and intelligence, I knight you Sir Radius, the king proclaimed. From this day forth, let this kingdom be called Angleland. Banners will fly on every castle tower. They shall show knightly right angles of 90 degrees, small acute angles, large obtuse angles, and straight angles of 180 degrees. Rise now, great knight of Angleland. The crowd cheered and Radius rose to greet them. Angland was the only kingdom to have a castle with a living drawbridge. The cry, "Pair of Lels," brought the two dragons over the moat. They became so famous that today parallel means any straight lines side by side, the same distance apart. Like the Lel dragons, Agaland is still there on very old maps, but today we call it England. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that story. In the back, you can actually see his medallion, which we should know is a protractor. I'm going to hand over to Miss Hunter, ready for her craft activity.
Hello, today for our cafe we are going to be looking at tangram puzzles. Now, the ancient Chinese art of tangram puzzles is a popular mathematical problem-solving activity. The tangram puzzle consists of 7 shapes, known as tans, which are normally combined into the shape of a square before being rearranged into different patterns. In each tangram, there are 2 small, 1 medium and 2 large triangles, 1 parallelogram and 1 square. The aim of the puzzle is to make a specific shape, given the outline or silhouette, using all 7 pieces which may not overlap. So attached to this activity, you will find this tangram square, all ready to print and cut out, and you will also find 8 different outlines to try and complete. Here. Now, once you've had a go at solving these puzzles, why not try and create your own pictures using the tans? What shapes can you come up with? If you don't have a printer, I'm now going to show you how to create your own tangram using paper or card, a ruler and a pencil. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is draw a 15 centimetre by 15 centimetre square on your piece of paper or card. I'm going to use the lines of the paper to help me, so I only have to draw 2 more straight lines. So measure across, 15 centimetres there, draw my line, 15 centimetres down here, and then 15 centimetres here. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to do, once you've drawn your 15 by say 15 centimetre square, is draw a line through the middle from the top right hand corner down to the bottom left hand corner. Now, once you've drawn this line across and you've got your 2 big triangles, we're going to divide it even further. So the next line you're going to draw is from the top left hand corner all the way down to the middle, but stopping at this middle line here. There we go. So now that we've drawn our top corner to bottom corner and our top corner to the middle, we're now going to measure 7.5 centimetres along the bottom line here. And I'm going to put a little marker there so I know that that's 7.5 centimetres. I'm then going to measure 7.5 centimetres up this side here. And put another little dot together. Now I've got 2 dots and I'm going to join these 2 together using my ruler. And you can see here I've got a line going from dot to dot. The next step is to continue this line through the middle, but stopping at this line here. Now, next I'm going to go upwards from this dot all the way to this line here. And you can see I've now got my parallelogram and one of my small triangles. The final line that I'm going to do is from here, this 7.5 centimetre dot, up to here to create my square and my final small triangle. So I line my ruler up like this and draw my line. And there you have it. You can see we've got our 2 big triangles, our 2 small triangles, our medium triangle, a parallelogram and a square. Now, at this point, you need to cut all these shapes out and you'll be ready to complete your tangram puzzles. Now, I've cut out all my different tans, ready to start arranging them into my shapes. I'm going to have a go at this rabbit here. Now, you don't have to print these sheets out, you can just leave them on the screen. Let's see if I can make a rabbit. There we go, one rabbit made out of tangrams that matches the outline over here. So there you go, you've got your tans that you've printed or your tans that you've made yourself. I can't wait to see you all solving those problems and coming up with your own ones. Have fun!